this is Rainbow Harmony, here to help you find balance and peace to live a more colorful life. And welcome back to my channel. In today's Pick a Card reading, we're going to be talking all about the last couple months of this year, 2021. We're going to see what blessings are coming in for you these last couple months, because I know we could all use a pick-me-up after making it through that Scorpio season, and now that we're here in the middle of eclipse season. This is a reading that was requested by one of my followers, so thank you guys so much for your comments and for letting me know feedback. You guys can always DM me on Instagram or comment here if there's anything that you want to see on the channel. So here is the spread that we're going to be covering for today if you want to take a screenshot and pull some cards along with me. And before we choose the cards, I want to let you guys know that I am having my Cyber Week sale, which means that everything here on my website is on sale up to 30% off. So if you'd like to live chat with me, if you would like a personal 2022 yearly review reading, if you would like life coaching from me, I am available for you guys as we transition into this new year. So if you'd like to receive this reading, simply choose a card. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. And that's from left to right. Once you've chosen, head down below to the comments or to the description where the timestamps are posted, and you can just click on your timestamp and instantly be fast forwarded to your part in the reading. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also ring that notification bell, especially because sometimes I offer live free readings, so you really want to hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys for your reading in a minute. For those of you guys who choose number 1, let's get started with the first part of the spread. And this first question is what you leave behind. So as you enter into 2022, what will you leave behind this year in 2021? So what are you leaving behind? Ooh, this is really good, honestly. Okay, so let's get into this, okay? This first card here is talking about how this year in 2021, you definitely felt like you had been through a transformation, but it was a time of transition, almost like where you were neither here nor there. You shed a huge aspect of your identity. Of course, you let go of a lot of people, places, things, habits, situations that no longer served you. And maybe you even had some downloads or some visions of like what you want to move forward to next or what you want to create, but it's almost like the new you hasn't completely emerged yet. So you're leaving that behind. That makes me think that in 2022, you're going to step into this new version of yourself. Your confidence is going to be increased. You're going to feel like you can go out and take the action that you want to take and move forward with all these visions that you've had. So the changes and the aftermath, the outer reality shift is going to happen for you in 2022 for sure, because I think you've done the inner work. And something I love to say a lot on the channel is as within, so without, as above, so below. I think the tree is such a beautiful example of that metaphor, that the roots are very similar to the branches. If you've got the healthy roots, you've got the healthy tree, healthy branches. So, this has been a time you've really been working on your health, emotional, physical, spiritual health. And so maybe the roots are stronger now, but it's taking a little bit of time for that to translate into your outer reality. So I think that's what you're going to see. And I love this illustration of a caterpillar that is coming out of its cocoon, but and then you can see the wings, but it's still not quite ready yet. So maybe that feeling of like you're feeling a little bit stuck, or you're not quite ready, or that loss of identity, or like, who am I? What do I want to do? That's all going to shed. You're going to leave that behind this year, and you're going to enter into a time of purpose and productivity and confidence and authenticity. I love to hear that. This is interesting. This is the Justice card. I think sometimes in life, we can feel like we can't move forward until we get a certain sense of closure over something or someone or a situation. Sometimes we get really stuck up really stuck on. Stuck up would be a good word too, though. But sometimes we can get really stuck on if, the fact that life can sometimes be a little bit unfair, or might not always feel very fair, and we want to see justice be served. We want to see changes happen, but we forget that we have to be the ones to create the change. Sometimes the only thing that we can do is take responsibility for ourselves and take responsibility for our lives. So I think this is talking about our ability or our inclination to sometimes blame others, to blame circumstances, to blame our situation, to make excuses for why we can't create what we want in our lives, or for why we can't heal or move forward. And I think you're going to leave that behind. I think in order to become a survivor, you must first allow yourself to become a victim. In order to make changes, sometimes you need to go through that suffering, or you need to understand what it is that you don't like. I think contrast is a very important and helpful part of life. Sometimes it's the contrast that lights the fire under our butt, that pushes us in the direction of our goals and our dreams and our most blissful reality. But contrast can be difficult. So this makes me think that you're going to be leaving a lot of contrast behind. You're going to be leaving behind a lot of excuses. You're going to be leaving behind a lot of blame and a lot of judgment. And maybe this is even blame and judgment and shame you put on yourself. It seems like you're walking into 2022 very determined, and it's like you're leaving the excuses behind. Maybe you're not waiting for closure anymore. Maybe you're not waiting for justice to be served. Maybe in a way, you're bringing the closure to yourself. You're going to create justice in your own life. And I love that. There's a lot of anguish. I mean, look at this image. This is one of the most difficult cards to pull for clients sometimes when they're asking me certain questions. I pull this card, I'm just like, damn. This is the Ten of Swords. It's just life coming at you in all directions. I'll be honest, personally, for myself, I felt like 2021 was kind of a shit show. It's a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I'm thankful for a lot of the growth and the changes I've created and that have happened, but I'm not sad to see this year go. So I think they're saying that things will be better in 2022. If you watch my 2022 reading, you'll see that especially the second half of 2022 looks really beautiful. A lot of those changes that we've been craving for the past couple of years will happen. And so I feel like 2021 walked so that 2022 could run. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of these soul-shattering emotional situations that happened to you this year, a lot of them needed to happen, even though it was difficult, and you're coming out completely different and totally changed on the other side. This was necessary growth. And so, but you really are going to leave a lot of these tragedies and a lot of this anguish behind. That's nice, right? Also, this feeling like you really needed to protect yourself. This is the Father of Swords. This is somebody who's just like on alert, on edge, kind of a lot of fear. I think you're leaving that behind. That feeling that you need to be on alert. That feeling that the world's going to hell in a handbasket. That feeling that you have to protect yourself and watch your back. I mean, I think this doesn't mean you're going to let down all your healthy boundaries. It just means that you're not going to be feeling on edge as much. Things are definitely going to get better. Also, I feel like maybe some of you guys who are watching this were struggling with some of your psychic abilities or your spiritual gifts that were awakening this year. And sometimes when those gifts first awaken, they can be really overwhelming and confusing. It can manifest in all sorts of strange ways. And I feel like some of you guys recognize that you were going through this awakening and you were able to get help and you were able to flow through the process and you were able to ground your energy. You were able to channel your gifts. And I feel like as you move forward into 2022, you're going to have a better handle on your intuition, and you're leaving behind some of those like anxieties and like that scattered energy or being ungrounded. You're definitely leaving that behind. So that's nice. Woo, we leaving so much behind, right? This is my favorite part of the reading. We're going to look next into the blessings that are going to be coming to you by the end of this year, 2021. So what blessings are coming to you by the end of this year? Aww. Okay, so here's what I see for you. The first card I got was laughter. That feeling that you can just kind of look back and laugh. Maybe not about everything that happened this year, but that you can have that light-hearted energy, that free-spirited energy, and to just feel grateful for the experience. And I think for some of you guys that might be tough. There's definitely some things I'm not necessarily grateful for that happened this year myself. But this is making me think that if you've been feeling really disconnected from the happy, spontaneous, adventurous, free-spirited side of yourself, and you've just been feeling kind of heavy and dense and weighed down, this is a message that by the end of this year, you'll be feeling that lighthearted, fun, joyous energy again. That there's a lot that's going to be shed. I also think some of this has a little bit to do with this last month of the year is Sagittarius season. And it's so very much needed this time of year. December, around this time, it's always just like a welcome relief because that is very much a Sagittarius energy. The laughter, the playfulness, the adventurous, the daring energy, the risk-taking energy, the fun, the social energy. And so your guides are promising you that by the end of this year, your spirits will be much more lifted. And that's so nice to hear. Also, by the end of this year, a big blessing that's coming in is you will feel a lot of reassurance over your growth that's happened. Maybe some of you guys are feeling like you didn't grow very much this year because I really do think that a lot of this growth was very inward and there might not be as much that's changed in your outer reality. I feel like there might be some feelings of disappointment because you're like, I had all these big goals for this year and I'm looking back and I feel like nothing much has changed, but like the way that you feel and like on the inside and the way that you are interacting with the world now and your perception really has changed and really has shifted. So no doubt you're going to see the outer growth in 2022. But maybe it could even be that something specific happens. Maybe some of the outer growth or something, you do get some kind of opportunity by the end of this year that starts reassuring you, you have grown. You are going to receive blessings and you are going to receive rewards. So I kind of had this prediction that something will happen to you over the next couple weeks that will be like a sign from the universe. It's like a blessing, it's an opportunity, it's tailored specifically for you, and it's a sign, and it's reassuring you that the work that you did, it wasn't just in vain. I also think now that you're at this point where you're feeling a lot more patient with the process. Something I'm constantly telling my clients is that in nature, things move slow. I mean, I've stayed places long enough because I've been traveling the world, but I remember being in Croatia and there was this really beautiful tree outside of my window. And I knew that it was going to bloom because in the pictures of the place, it was full of blooms. I think it was like a cherry blossom tree, something kind of like that. And I sat there for almost a year and that thing did not bloom and it looked kind of ugly and spindly. And, slowly though, I started watching it come back to life. Slowly, the leaves started to gather on the tree. And then, slowly the buds came. And then one day, pop, there were the flowers. And it was just so gorgeous and so amazing and so beautiful. And it did remind me, like, changes can take months and months and months and sometimes years. And we gotta be okay with that. you know? And I feel like something's happened that's helped you be more patient with yourself and more patient with your growth. Maybe you got to a surrender point this year where you kind of just like gave up and you were like, fuck this. Maybe I'm just going to be average and never going to try for anything ever again in my life. But it's weird because I feel like that surrender moment helped you to just give yourself a break and not pressure yourself so much to grow or to bloom, you know? You can't pressure something to bloom before it's time, and we all have our times to bloom. So it's almost like at this point you're more willing to be patient. That's a huge blessing that's coming to you by the end of this year, because the willingness to be patient makes your life a lot more peaceful and helps take a lot of pressure off of you. Another gift that's coming to you by the end of this year is freedom. Maybe you can already feel it. I don't know what you freed yourself from. I don't know if it was like a toxic relationship or it was like a difficult financial situation or like a workplace that didn't serve you. I know a lot of people quit their jobs this year, but the blessing coming to you by the end of this year is this sense of freedom. Like, I'm so thankful. I finally made it out of that situation. I'm free. Maybe you don't know what you're going to do from here, but it doesn't matter. You got the willingness to be patient with yourself. You're able to look back and laugh, and you're feeling lighthearted, and there's just this sense of freedom around you. And it's just like, it's kind of like your little secret, because you're like, I'm never going to like give away that power or let my freedom be taken from me again. So you're ending this year triumphant. Now, we've already seen a couple of these coming out, but we're going to look now and see the lessons that you learned in 2021. And I would suggest that you journal on this and, ask yourself more about this. But we're going to pull from the cards and see what are the lessons that you learned in 2021, okay? Just some themes that are coming out, anything you need to be reminded of. Wow. The first lesson, I think, is really difficult. I feel like the lesson that you learned mainly this year was how you have to take responsibility for your life. And it's not like you weren't before, but maybe there were a lot of ways that you were kind of giving away your power. Remember earlier we were pulling cards from this deck? This one was talking about how like sometimes as humans we have the tendency to blame or kind of shift the responsibility onto other people in our lives or onto circumstances or whatever, the world events, what's been going on in the world. Sometimes we can use that as an excuse to not move forward with our inner guidance. And I'm getting this message that you got to this point this year where you were like, I'm not having fun anymore. I'm not having fun. I'm not happy. This is not what I want. And you got so sick of it that you were just like, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. And and I feel like you finally empowered yourself to just pick yourself back up and work for it, and the work isn't always necessarily like getting a job. The work is like the inner work I'm talking about, the inner work of working on the confidence, maybe working on your health, your physical health, maybe working on creating a better environment or a better experience for yourself. I do get this message. A lot of you guys took back control of your health. Like you were like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of feeling like lazy. I'm sick of feeling exhausted. I'm sick of treating my body poorly. And so I do see that a lot of you guys made the effort to exercise, to eat healthier, to get out in nature, to enjoy your life more, to just really show up and treat your body well. I see that a lot of you guys broke the habit of self-sabotaging this year, and it happens, we self-sabotage, but like I feel like some of you guys like really started disciplining yourselves to lean more into the self-care and to lean more into to showing up every day. And sometimes showing up means letting yourself rest. Sometimes showing up means treating yourself and not restricting yourself. But I do get this feeling that the the lessons you learned were that you don't just sit around and wait for the situation to get better. You don't just sit around and wait for opportunities to come to you. You don't just try to like manifest that out of thin air everything comes. You realize that you are the sculptor with the clay. You are the one that creates the situation where the blessings can come through. You know, first you take action, then the support comes. First you take action, then the healing comes. First you take action, then the money comes. It's like, I do see a lot of you guys stepped into action this year. And really for many of you guys, it was just baby steps. Maybe the action you didn't take wasn't like crazy. And that's why I think you're at the end of this year and you're kind of wishing that like more happened. But the good thing is you built good habits and you built good routines, and that's going to carry you through so you can actually see those changes in your outer reality into 2022. I also think that some of you guys, you know, I got this message about like dopamine, like almost like you were engaging in a lot of activities. Maybe it was shopping, maybe it was like spending a lot of time online, maybe it was just like going out all the time and like, you know, like constantly being around other people and not like giving yourself that alone time. Because I feel like for so long, it was like all of that was taken from you because of the situation in 2020. So in 2021, maybe you just went like a little crazy and you really needed to treat yourself. But I do feel like at a certain point you realized this isn't enough. Like there needs to be some kind of balance in my life. Like maybe it's not always fun to do the hard work, but this is what makes my soul feel better, is to strike a balance between treating myself and having fun and celebrating life, but also like keeping an eye on the future and making sure that I'm walking in step with that and that I'm showing up for myself. So really, this is all about balance. This is all about balance and like creating opportunities, taking responsibility, not blaming anybody for their situation. And, you know, it could literally be some crazy event or the world events or, you know, some narcissist or something that did like kind of put you in the situation you're in. But I'm talking more about taking responsibility for like where you're going to go from here, or getting yourself out, or creating something better for yourself. So damn, like you really, I'm just, wow, you did so much. It's incredible, this lesson that you learned and how you taken your power back. And look over here, we're getting this empowerment card. So you learned how to empower yourself. You learned how important it is to create balance in your life. And I think balance looks different for everybody. And it's not always about perfection. I know we talk a lot in the spiritual community about balance and alignment. It's not about just being super positive all the time and never letting yourself have a negative thought. You step on a crack, you're going to break your mom's back kind of shit. Like, I really think it's more about like, I think the bravest thing some of you guys did this year was letting yourself go down, or letting yourself have that depression, or actually admitting, I'm not okay, I'm not happy with this. Because when you open up to that energy, it creates space for you to heal and for you to be present with yourself, for you to listen to yourself, and for you to make those changes. So it was probably really tumultuous how you ended up learning this lesson, but you learned how to create balance in your life and to do it in a way that's very specific and authentic to you. I also feel like you learned, you learned how important it is to finish what you started. I think that you tied up a lot of loose ends in 2021, and even if you haven't tied up those loose ends at this point, you're like committed to tying them up. So some of you guys were like worried or like wanted to give up on something you started, but like now you're more committed and you learned how important it is to see things through or to finish something. I also think you learned more how to protect yourself. I think you got very sensitive at certain points during this year because of everything, and I think that you learned how to create like emotional and mental and spiritual protection for yourself, whether that was like through rituals or through healing techniques, or maybe even through just like who and what you're allowing into your space. So you learned a lot about boundaries this year too. So wow, you learned a lot. So this last part of the message, if you're still here with me, and if you watch this whole thing, then comment a rainbow down below. I love to hear who's still here, who's still watching. So advice for you, like how to approach the last couple weeks of this year, okay? Some advice, how should you approach the last couple weeks of this year? Some suggestions. Okay, so they're saying that there will be, like I predicted earlier, there will be a huge blessing that manifests in your external reality. And I think they're telling you when this blessing comes, to give yourself credit. Give yourself credit when credit's due. Tell yourself, I created this. I manifested this. Welcome it. Receive it. When it comes, don't be scared that it's going to be taken away or the rug's going to be ripped right out from underneath you again. Because I know there was a lot of that trickster energy in 2021 where like something was given to you, but then it was taken. It was like, at this point, you might just be kind of looking over your shoulder thinking the other shoe is going to drop. But they're like, no, this blessing is for you. It's here to stay. Trust in it. Open it. Receive it. Welcome it. So that's one thing they want you to, to really do. Another thing they're saying is that it's okay to spend a little bit of time inside the next couple of weeks. Like, I don't know if the weather's going to be crazy or maybe you're not feeling like going to the holiday parties or you're just wanting to spend more time inside and being cozy. But they're telling you that's an approach you can take. And that if you just feel like you kind of want to hermit or be to yourself, that's fine. I mean, there's definitely like a fun, adventurous, social energy going on right now. So this doesn't mean that you're not going to have those opportunities. But I think they're just saying, hey, if you need extra time to rest, if you're tired, that's okay. This was a crazy year. They're also telling you to have boundaries. I think that's something you learned this year, but like maybe you're dealing with some trauma or maybe some people around you are pushing your buttons because not everybody is doing well this time of year. Some people, especially toxic individuals, can kind of act up around the holidays and around this time of year. It's kind of a long reason as to why. I could explain it, but it's like a whole thing. But you guys are just reminding you to have boundaries, that you don't need to give that person a gift if you don't want to. You don't need to show up at that event if you don't want to. You don't need to text that person back right away. Like, you don't have to work those extra shifts your boss is trying to make you work. Like, you can say no, and your guys are just telling you that would be a good approach for you for the next couple weeks. They're also telling you to start thinking more about your path. That makes me think about like kind of coming up with some action steps. I bet during this eclipse season and during this whole year, you've come up with some downloads as to some goals you want to move forward with. This is a really great time to maybe do some soul searching and to write down your New Year's resolutions, or of course, I'm going to say it again, create your vision board. And maybe to go a step further by planning some action steps. You don't need to take these steps now. You probably don't need to take any of these action steps until the solstice in March. The equinox. But there's a message to maybe start writing down some action steps so that when you're ready, you can take them. So yeah, open up. Your path is starting to shift. It's exciting energy. Let me know if this resonates with you in the comments below or if it helped you. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. That really helps me out. And I will see you later. Peace out. For those of you guys who choose number 2, let's go ahead and get started with the first part of the spread. And the first question is, what do you leave behind? So what are you leaving behind in 2021 and not taking into 2022? So what do you leave behind as you transition into this new year? Okay, so here's what I'm seeing. The first thing I'm seeing, the Mother of Pentacles is basically talking about financial struggles. It's not necessarily a bad card, but it's talking about how you're at the very beginning of this process of growing your wealth or making investments or starting a new career path or creating stability for yourself. And so your position's really vulnerable and you're having to kind of baby it, and you're having, so maybe you've been having to get thrifty with it a lot lately. Maybe, you've made a job switch and things were difficult, or maybe you're one of those people who was on an unemployment because of the world events, and I see you leaving that behind. I see that you're not gonna have to baby this situation so much, that there have been or there will be some new habits implemented when it comes to this area of your life, and there's going to be more of a feeling of stability and security and abundance around you in 2022. Now, for those of you guys who are not struggling in this area and this doesn't apply to, I still feel like this has something to do about finances, but it could be more like maybe you've been struggling over like feeling confident in the decisions you're making financially, or you're in the process of moving assets around, or you're working on investments, because there are a lot of opportunities right now and what to invest in. It's kind of sad, but like sometimes when there's like a recession and stuff going on, there's a lot of wealth being transferred, and you know, there can be opportunities for some people. And so I get the sense that like maybe all of this doesn't seem so overwhelming. The sense of fear or urgency will disappear, and you'll feel like you can make more sound decisions. So you're leaving this energy of needing to baby the situation behind, and I love that. This card, it kind of makes me sad when I'm looking at it, because it's like somebody who is on the outside looking in. There's these friends over here and they're all like getting along really well, but then there's this person who feels like a little bit awkward or shy, or like they're an outsider. Maybe that's how you felt lately. Maybe you've been struggling with some social anxiety, or maybe you've been struggling with like just feeling a little bit lonely, or you could be switching friend groups. Some of you guys are in the process of like growing a little bit older, and maybe some of your friends have, you know, moved away, or they've gone off to college, or they've graduated, or they've gotten married, and like maybe you kind of feel that energy like, oh no, I've been left behind. You know, or maybe you feel like a late bloomer or something. You got to remember, of course, I'm going to tell you that everyone has their own cycles and seasons in life, and no one's got it figured out. And there might be people who look at you and see your situation and they wish they had what you had. They wish they had the freedom that you had, or the opportunities that you have. And you know, so it's easy to look at other people and kind of put them on a pedestal and think, you know, I wish I had what they had. But remember to get inspired by that. Maybe that's a sign that you need to work towards a similar goal for yourself. You can create that for yourself too. But regardless, I think this card is saying that if you've been feeling lonely, or you've been struggling to make friends, or maybe you're going through spiritual awakening and you had to cut out a lot of toxic people and you're just kind of in a transition, that maybe 2022 is going to be the year that you feel more confident socially, that you make a new group of friends, that you are able to include yourself more and have more helpful and supportive people around you. Maybe soul family is going to come in. So it's almost like you're leaving this era or this loneliness like behind and in 2021, and that is awesome. The next thing that you're going to leave behind in 2021, this is a positive card. It's talking about everything in your whole life leading up to a certain point. It's like a feeling of destiny. It's a big change. Is something amazing going to happen? Maybe you feel like you've been waiting for that to happen. I mean, I'm sure you've been taking action and making, you know, doing stuff and creating awesome stuff in your life, but it might be like that one thing that you've been trying to manifest. It hasn't happened yet, or you feel like you're waiting on something. Well, that feeling is going to leave. This could mean that that big thing manifests, that finally that crescendo comes, that finally, you know, that breakthrough happens in 2022 for you. Or maybe you just stop waiting for it and just move forward. So it's an interesting energy of like feeling like you're having to wait around or being held back, or like everything's building to something but it hasn't happened yet. Like that feeling's gonna end, because like this energy will come through, or that thing will be manifested. So next we're gonna look into what blessings are coming to you by the end of this year. So blessings coming to you by the end of 2021. Oh, I actually want to pull these cards. Always accidentally grabbing my Wildwood deck. You guys know how attached I am to that deck. blessings coming to you by the end of 2021? Okay, this is really cool. Okay, so the first card I'm getting is that by the end of this year, a huge blessing that's coming through is feeling like you can be more honest with yourself. Do you ever sometimes just feel really confused and you're just like, I don't know what I want? And maybe sometimes you're kind of afraid to be real and like admit it. And also sometimes we can be a little dishonest with ourselves when it comes to making decisions, or we want to create something or we want to do better for ourselves, but we continue to be dishonest in the sense that we continue to choose things that aren't in alignment with that. Well, I think the big blessing by the end of this year that's coming for you is this ability to be very clear and be very honest with yourself, and to also feel like it's a lot easier to take actions and steps that are in alignment with that. I think honesty is such a beautiful energy. I feel like it's very connected to authenticity. I also think there's some confidence behind it, because sometimes you can feel a little bit scared to maybe speak your truth or to speak up, because a lot of times honesty requires us to use our voice. And so it might be that you're not feeling so meek in that sense. I also think a blessing could be that maybe there's a situation that you've been asking to receive some truth in, or you're wanting to hear some truth from another individual. This could be something very specific to some of you guys who are watching that's telling you, yes, you're going to get to the bottom of that matter, or truth is going to be revealed, or that person will speak their truth to you, or you'll be able to finally speak up and say something or do something or act in alignment with this honest energy. So that's a huge blessing. Another blessing that's coming to you by the end of 2021 is this incredible energy of flow. And when you're in the flow, or when you're in alignment, or you're in the vortex, or whatever you want to call it, it's such a beautiful place to be, because there's a bounce in your step, the sun is shining, there's a smile on your face, your outfit's on point, people are taking notice. You're getting opportunities left and right. Things are manifesting effortlessly. Money is flowing. Manifestations are coming in. It's just so wonderful. So I think you're going to be in that energy by the end of this year. You really are going to step into that, and it's going to be so beautiful. Maybe it's been a while since you've been in the flow, and it's just going to remind you that, hey, sometimes you got those times in your life where you're glowing, you're blossoming, you're blooming, and I think what goes up must come down, but sometimes, what goes down must come up too, and you're going to have your time in the sun again. Next, they're saying a lot of the adversities that have happened for you this year are actually synchronicities or blessings or opportunities in disguise. So it could be that by the end of this year, an opportunity is synchronistically revealed to you. Something literal, physical comes into your life, and you realize, oh my God, if I hadn't gone through that adversity, if I hadn't lost my job, or if that asshole didn't break up with me or whatever, I wouldn't have gotten this new opportunity. And so it's a blessing that comes, but it's also kind of like a funny moment, because you're like, damn, the universe works in mysterious ways. I love that for you. Next, we're going to look at lessons that this year taught you. And this is such a personal thing. I highly recommend you do some journaling on it. But we're just going to look in the tarot and see if it can reveal any lessons that we can review for you that you learned this year in 2021. Okay, so the first lesson is so interesting. I think you learned how important it is to make the time and to make the space to celebrate your life, and maybe even to celebrate your accomplishments. It can be a little bit awkward when the world around you seems like it's falling apart and everybody else is kind of going crazy, but then you have something really good that happens. Maybe you fall in love, or maybe you have a big career moment, or perhaps you have a blessing or opportunity that comes in, or you end up having like a really beautiful day. I think you learned how important it is to be grateful and to express gratitude, and also to celebrate yourself. I think sometimes in this world, in our culture, in our society, we're told that, oh, you're full of yourself, if you know, or don't rest on your laurels or that kind of stuff. You can, but I think, you know, to have a party and celebrate that you got an opportunity or a promotion, or that you that you kicked that toxic person out of your life, or whatever it is, to just to be like, you know what, I'm a queen, I did that, yeah, I did, and to own that and respect yourself and to celebrate your success, whether it be little or big. That's such a beautiful thing. I think you also learned this year that play and fun and connections with others and community and treating yourself is really, really important. I know some of you guys have issues with that, and you need to not treat yourself so much. You got to learn when to stop, and you know, you got to stop partying all the time. But I think I'm talking to a group of people who are, you guys are very serious and you're very responsible, and like you've been really stressed out. And this year, like you kind of got to this point where you had some opportunities to have fun, to celebrate your life. It was like really unexpected. And at first you felt like, oh my God, this is such a splurge, or should I really do this? But you ended up really liking it. And so a huge theme for you this year was to just have fun, was just to celebrate, was just to enjoy, was to taste the good life. And through that, you actually got some opportunities and there was a lot of growth. So I think something you learned was the importance of celebrating, to give yourself that time to you know, maybe you made this a habit, like once a week or on the weekends or your time off, you were really focusing on creating good experiences for yourself, having fun, making that effort, because that's work too, you know, to get yourself dressed up and get the friends together and go out, or to maybe invest in a little trip away, or to go to the beach or the mountains or whatever. That takes time, and it's so easy to just want to stay in and not make the effort to go out and to celebrate life and to get people together and have fun. I feel like you really made an effort with that, and it paid off, and you have so many wonderful memories and photos to look back at, and you're able to say, yeah, this year was crazy, but you also have good memories, and it's because you made the effort to create it. So that was a huge lesson you learned, how important it is to celebrate and to enjoy and to live your life. I think another thing you realized was how important your home environment is. Excuse me. Maybe some of you guys were kind of accepting less. I don't know. I kind of get this vision that some of you guys were living somewhere and there was like a big issue. There was like a crazy roommate, or maybe there was like a bug issue, or perhaps the place was just dark and didn't have like good lighting, or maybe you weren't taking good care of your home because you're just like, well, it's kind of shitty anyways, and you weren't like cleaning and things kind of got out of hand. So I see some of you guys cleaned up your space, or you hung up some new curtains, or got some new bedding, or you were able to kick that crazy roommate out, or you were able to get yourself in a better situation. Or maybe some of you guys purchased a new home or purchased a new property this year, and you realize like you're worthy of a beautiful home, you're worthy of taking good care of your home. It's important to keep things dusted and keep the clutter out. That helps with your manifestations. Like, I think that you learned a lot about the importance of your environment, how it affects you, and how you're worthy to have a good one. I also think some of you guys really focused a lot on what you were doing when you're at home, like your habits and your routine. I see a lot of you guys were, you know, spending a lot of time at home. That energy is still going around from what's the world events. And I think that some of you guys, like, you got it down, like you figured out your home routine, or your morning routine, or your evening routine, and that's awesome. I also think something you learned this year was that you have a lot of wisdom. Some of you guys might not need more training or more education or more mentoring or more help. You're ready. You're ready to teach others. You're ready to become a mentor. You're ready to step into your new career. You're ready to be an entrepreneur. You're ready to start the business. You're ready to write the book. You're ready to release your art, or to go on those auditions, or whatever it is. Like, I think some of you guys are like, you realize this year that, you know what, I've actually been through a lot, and I'm ready now. I'm the student that's becoming the master. Something else you learned was how to have more respect for yourself. That's just a huge thing. Because I feel like when you're taking good care of your home and your routine and you're like, I'm ready, and then you're like celebrating your life, all of that is an energy of self-respect and self-love and treating yourself really well. And that's amazing. I also think another thing, I'm kind of going fast here because you learned a lot. It's so hard to wrap up all these things you learned in just a couple minutes, but bear with me here. This one is completely different from these other messages. This is talking about how you learned to embrace the mystery of life. There are some things you just can't know. I've learned that being a tarot reader, and you guys know I'm really psychic and I can tap into everything, but like there's some things that you're not meant to know. The Lynx here represents like the secret keeper or the keeper of the Akashic records or, you know, forbidden knowledge or whatever, that kind of stuff. I do think that there's some things that aren't meant to be revealed just yet. It could be that you were frustrated because there were certain things you wanted to know or find out and it was like you had to learn to be at peace with that and realize that sometimes like knowing all the answers or having all that information isn't always going to be helpful. Sometimes you learn that you just have to trust yourself and kind of make adjustments and make changes like as the pieces kind of fall where they may. And this message is like you learn to respect that unknown factor in the universe, that at any moment something crazy could happen that could change your life, but it's like you learning how to be more adaptable to that. The last thing you learned was you learned a lot about shadow work and clearance. No doubt you spent a lot of time in tears this year, having to release things, deep shedding. And it's like you thought that like in 2020 that you had done a lot of that, but like 2021 was like crazier with the shadow work and the healing and the purging. And I think you just realized that sometimes all you can do is just surrender to that and like let it happen. All right, let's move forward. So finally, we're looking at how should you approach the last couple weeks of this year? How should you approach the last couple weeks of this year? Just like any advice for you as we wrap this year up. Should your approach be? That's so weird. I pulled this for another group. These two cards. Well, first of all, they're saying that blessings are coming in, and to acknowledge that and accept them, you could feel almost as if like, is this too good to be true? Or is everything just going to fall apart again? You could be feeling a little bit jaded after the events of this year. And your guides are saying, you know, there's a trauma because it was that for a little while that you were receiving these blessings, and then there was an energy of it being taken away or it being covered by something else. There could be like this energy of like, well, you know, I guess something good's going to happen, but shit's just going to fall apart again, right? No. This energy is really shifting. The blessings that are coming to you mark the beginning of a new era in your life. Open them, receive them, accept them. You're worthy. You're worthy. Security. By the end of this year, you're going to be feeling a lot more secure. This might be physically. This could even be talking about financial security. I see that for a lot of you guys. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be a lot more abundant than you expect by the end of this year. But I also feel like it's an inner feeling as well. Feeling like you are grounded and like you're stable and you have support. This could also be talking about security in a relationship. Maybe some of you guys aren't really quite sure where you stand with somebody romantically right now, but maybe you get that security from them. You get that maybe you guys step into a committed relationship, or they're stepping forward more. I definitely got like a vision that has something to do with love for some of you guys. And look, security and stability. Ooh. Yep, that's so beautiful. So I'm getting this message that some of you guys have been really confused about like what your mission or your goals are right now. And it might be surprising because maybe like your whole life you've had certain goals or certain dreams or certain ambitions, but maybe you're realizing that you've changed. And it's scary because a lot of times we wrap our identity up in those things. And you have to remember, you are not what you do. You know, you're so much more than that. But I do feel like you're going to be finding some new ambitions, some new things to put your energy into. And to be honest, this does make me think a lot about like your career path or how you express yourself, like as an artist, your identity, a lot of outward things. And it's like kind of crazy because maybe everybody knows you as the person who does this thing, or like, oh, this is Amy, and she's the horse trainer or whatever. But you're like, oh, I really want to get back into dancing. And that's so off brand for me. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to find a new ambition. It might just be surprising to yourself and others, but I'm getting this guide that it's okay to let the old you kind of change or slip or die. Like, you can reinvent yourself anytime you want. And it might just be kind of surprising, and maybe nobody knows that deep down you're going through this big change of like feeling a little bit unstable and confused. But that's why I think it's so beautiful. By the end of this year, you've got security, you've got stability, and you found ambition for yourself. And I think that's beautiful. These cards are so amazing. I love it. I hope that this reading resonates with you. I hope that this reading makes you feel blessed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps my channel out. And I will see you next time. Peace out. For those of you guys who choose number 3, let's go ahead and get started. And we're starting with the first part of the spread. And the question is, what do you leave behind in 2021? So as you cross the threshold over into 2022, what do you leave behind in this year? Okay. The first thing that's coming up, honestly, is some of you guys had some really difficult financial struggles this year. I mean, it might not have been really that bad for some of you guys. It might just be like not what you expected it. It's like you had the rug ripped out from underneath you. Now, it's no secret that a lot of people quit their jobs this year. So maybe you're one of those people and like you had this career going in this path, but you're just like, I don't want to work for these corporations anymore. I don't want to, work for the man and be a slave, or like, I'm not being treated right here. I'm not being paid what I'm worth. I'm done with this. So I see that a lot of you guys walked away from a really toxic work situation. I'm also seeing that some of you guys made a big change, like with what your goal was, financially and materially. I think the reason I'm getting a lot of these cards, especially right now, is because we're in the middle of an eclipse. And the lunar eclipse we just had was in Taurus, which is your money, your sense of stability, your sense of security, like your career, that kind of stuff. It also has a lot to do about like enjoying the good life. And I think, money is an energy and it's a tool. And I get this vibe that like you want to create a situation around yourself where you're really enabled to move towards the dreams of your heart. And, having a nice home and having nice things is great, but I think that it's more about you being able to not feel limited in what your decisions are and what your creations are. Now, I think one of the most amazing things that you can do is to learn how to work with what you have and what you have right now, and to be resourceful. Sometimes a situation like that can make you very creative. So I do think you've learned a lot about how to be resourceful, and you were able to provide for yourself and protect yourself during this change and this transition. But if I'm going to be honest, it's been a big struggle for you, and you were not expecting to be in this situation. And maybe I'm even speaking to some of you guys who are more well off or more wealthy. It could be that some of the investments that you made, some of your assets had to be changed or switched around, or maybe you just have a little bit of fear about what's going on. And I just get this message that that's something you're leaving behind in 2021, which makes you think 2022 will probably be a lot more prosperous for you. You're probably going to find a lot more direction in your career or in your ability to create stability and security for yourself. So that's a huge thing you're leaving behind. I also feel like this year you were just really tired and really drained. And I do see that you made strides to take good care of your body and your health, and you did your best, but it was like no matter what you did, you would get back, you would get up and then you get knocked down again, you know? You get up and then you get knocked down again. I feel like that energy is leaving you. Definitely, it's leaving you. You know, you're going to be able to get up and walk forward and take some steps, and you're not going to get knocked down. Something else that you're leaving behind is this is the Ace of Swords. This is like feeling like you have to take radical action and take initiative, and like something's got to give, and you got to go out there and fight for your position and defend for yourself. It's kind of like a desperate energy. It's like a very anxious energy. You're going to leave that behind this year. It might mean that you're able to take more calculated movements. You're able to have more patience in 2022. You're able to move forward slowly but surely. Slow and steady wins the race kind of energy. It just doesn't feel like there is as much desperation around you. Something else you're leaving behind this year is something about this is talking about community. This card in specific in this deck has a lot to do with how the people that you surround yourself with can really make or break you. So it might be that there were some people that you were surrounding yourself with, or like a situation. I think I'm going back to like a workplace or something like that. Maybe those people, you're just realizing these people can't support me. They can't help me rise. I have to switch my network here. And so it does seem like you're leaving that network behind in 2021, or the toxic connections or whatever. And that means that in 2022, you're going to have a beautiful network around you of people that support you and uplift you. So, good riddance. I think that this is a positive card that's kind of outside of this question. It's telling you that you're at the beginning of a really beautiful new enterprise. You really have nothing to worry about. You need to give yourself time and be patient. But like, for sure, this is all the energy I'm seeing you're leaving behind. And damn, like, it kind of gives me a look into what you went through this year. And I'm so proud of you, because I don't think it was easy, was it? So next, we're going to look into blessings that are coming to you by the end of this year. That card just flew right out. Oh, I love that card. Okay, so this is such a huge blessing, but by the end of this year, I do sense that there will be an overwhelming amount of peace around you. Like, you're going to be cool with what happened this year. Even though it was like really difficult, I think you're going to be at peace with it. You're definitely going to feel like you're ready to put it to rest, leave it behind you. But there's a feeling of peace. It could also be that if right now, in the middle of this eclipse, at the time I'm doing this reading, if you're going through a lot, this energy is going to settle. It's going to calm down. You're going to have a peaceful couple weeks. So this is a huge blessing that's coming into you by the end of this year. Peace. Next, we're seeing this beautiful card of strength. By the end of this year, there will be this sense that you are so much stronger, that you're ready for that glow up or that level up in your life. It's this energy like, you know what, I'm stronger now, and I trust that like some of these lessons I got, I don't have to repeat them. Like, I know what I want now. I know who I am. I have strength in who I am. I know how to take good care of myself. Like, I'm not worried about anything that comes my way, because I know it's not going to be a big deal. I can take care of it. It really is this beautiful energy of strength. And then we also get laughter. So it does make me think the next couple of weeks, so last few weeks of this year, there's going to be a lot of fun surrounding you. And I see that as a big blessing. Like, there will be people around you. There's going to be that laughter. There's going to be, maybe this is connected to the holidays or something, but there's going to be some opportunities for you to just really indulge and enjoy the good life and be surrounded by good people. And lastly, we're seeing spiritual transformation. I think that when you've had a huge transformation spiritually and on the inside, it does allow you to look at life with a new perception. And in that way, it does create a lot more peace around you. And it does create that beautiful, blissful reality that we all want, right? That's what enables you to be able to live in that energy. I always say peace on earth happens one person at a time. And I get this feeling that the work that you're doing and that you've been doing spiritually, it does make a difference. You know, you might be feeling like, there's so much happening in the world. How can I make a difference? But when you make a difference to yourself and you make those changes in your own life, it's like a butterfly effect that goes out to everyone else around you. And it really can make a difference. And so I get that the final blessing you're receiving before the end of this year is this feeling like you've been through a total transformation and now you're ready to spread your wings and fly. And it could also be that other people are taking notice. This means that your aura is brighter. You're becoming more attractive to the things that you want to manifest. Maybe if you're single and you're looking for love, you're attracting a suitor, you're attracting attention. You're looking great. And I also get this sense that, when you feel good, you look good. And so it's this energy of feeling good on the inside and people being able to notice that. I wouldn't be surprised if people start telling you, oh my God, you're glowing. Did you make some kind of change? What's your secret? And I feel like your secret is it's a spiritual transformation. So now we're looking into lessons that 2021 taught you, okay? So lessons that 2021 taught you. Obviously, this is something personal, and I would suggest you do some journaling on it. But I want to see just some lessons we can go over for you. Okay, so the first message I'm learning is you learned how to have endurance. We're seeing a lot of flames here. I think this goes back to the beginning of the reading and all those cards that I pulled about like your financial situation or the job or the career or your wealth, your security. I think you learned like this person is sitting here just tending to this flame, trying to keep it going while there's just like this storm going on in the background. I feel like you were very dedicated at taking very good care of yourself and making good decisions and being a good steward of what you had, even when this situation was really difficult. And you could have easily self-sabotaged and made some bad choices, but I think you did good for yourself. I think this card's telling you don't be so hard on yourself about what happened this year or with the choices that you made, because you actually did a really great job and you did the right thing. And you learned how important it is sometimes to wait situations out. Sometimes when you push up against the resistance, it makes it worse. Resistance makes stronger. So I think you learned how to be very resilient and how to have endurance and how to, sometimes you just have to detach yourself from that heavy energy and wait for it to pass. And you learned that. I think another thing you learned was how to consciously manifest abundance and prosperity. And maybe once again, we're talking about money here because this is the breath of life, and this card signifies like putting out a very clear and direct message to the universe, maybe doing some type of ritual or spell or consciously manifesting or taking action, knowing what you want. And I think as part of that, you have to really believe that you're worthy and believe that you're capable. And so I feel like something you learned this year was how to pull up your inner strength, how to clear some of these subconscious beliefs so you can align yourself to what you want to manifest. And I think you got really resourceful, not only physically, but like spiritually when it came to like aligning your energy with this abundance mindset. Maybe you cleared out a lot of lack mentality this year and you really had to rise above, and it was more of a mind game than anything else. And you learned about that. I think you also learned this is like the Tower card. I think you learned how tower moments are really important. I think that you learned like that when everything gets ripped out from underneath you and life falls apart, I think you learned how to take responsibility and you learned how to build back better. I get this vibe that whenever these tower moments and things would happen in your life, you used to panic, and then it used to just completely defeat you. And I think it's normal to panic and freak out and have emotions, but ultimately you have to learn to take that as a sign that, something wants to change, or this situation's not right, or maybe it's a blessing that's being taken away, or maybe I'm being prepared for something better. So it's almost like you kind of learned how to look on the bright side. You learned how to see how to flow with this energy, and how to not just let it completely defeat you. So I love that. I also feel like you learned how important it is to be dedicated and to be consistent. It's not about just doing a whole bunch of action in one day and then for months forgetting about it. Like, showing up every single day is so important. And I feel like that's what you did. You were persistent, you were resilient, and you showed up. And I love that. Now, the last part of our spread is just general advice for you on how you should approach these last couple weeks of the year. So as we close out 2021 and we enter into 2022, what approach should you take to these last couple weeks of the year? Okay, so your guides are saying that you have got a lot of experience in a certain area, and that you need a project to be able to show that off. So this might have something to do with like creating a new path for yourself, or celebrating your creativity and like bringing it out into the world, not hiding your gifts, you know? It could also be about you creating some type of portfolio, or being able to show off your experience to for a job opportunity, something like that. It could also be that some of you guys need more experience. That's what's missing, and that you need to create a project or find a project for yourself. Now, they're saying you don't need to do this now. Like, they're saying you need to do this later. Okay? Nearby, there's an opportunity for you to create and to do this project. But they could be saying, like, maybe right now you could be collecting inspiration or putting out feelers, or maybe like vision boarding for it. I think, obviously the last couple of weeks for many people around the world is like a holiday season. And if it's not, then it's like more just kind of like a winter hermit rest season. But maybe while you're kind of hermiting and stuff, you could be working on this vision board. So they're like, maybe you don't need to do this now. Maybe there's not much for you to do, but they're like, just get ready. Now, next they're saying, the last thing they're saying is, look, don't get too caught up in a pattern or a habit of overthinking. You are just going through a lot of changes right now. I mean, this is where we're at in the cycle of nature in a lot of places. I mean, I guess it depends where you live and what kind of climate you're in, or microclimate you're in. But a lot of trees are shedding their leaves, and it's like that winter energy for a lot of people. Or it could even be summer some places. So same kind of energy, like things are kind of drying up, and I just get this vibe like there's a lot of changes going on with you too. Like, you're shedding, you're about to lie dormant, you're about to go in the cocoon. And so your guides are just saying, like, if you're feeling like kind of worried or freaked out, like, it's normal. Like, you're going through changes. Don't overthink it. If you're worried the worst case scenario is going to happen, or you don't feel very grounded right now, your guides are saying just remind yourself that you're going through some changes, and that's okay, and that these changes will take time. So wonderful. I hope that this reading resonates with you. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps my channel out. And I will see you next time. Peace out.